Hi, my name is Rachel Zeskind, and you are watching Actor to Actor for LookToTheStars.org. When you said that statistic, you know, about 50% drop out of high school in inner cities, that's 50% of our future.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impactful statement. 50% of our future is giving up, and they're not even out of high school yet.
It's true, and if you look around, you know, the country, and you look at other statistics, a lot of these statistics greatly affect the black community specifically, and of course I have a heart for that because that's where I come from. You know, whether it be Section 8 housing or whether it be welfare, whatever the things, the elements that are around you when you're growing up that are affecting your life, the categories that you've been stuffed into, that you didn't choose as a child. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, who is going to stand and say this is something that needs to be done? You know, I mean, there are a lot of issues and disparities that affect our community that are the direct result of decisions that were made in our country by the powers that be, the people that controlled our country. And it's like a lot of people say, you know, when you talk about, you know, racism, when you talk about, you know, slavery, you talk about all the things that have brought us from, you know, as a country from zero, Jamestown, to where we are now. A lot of people want to negate the fact that these things happen and negate the fact that a lot of people are benefiting now from those actions. You know, a lot of people, well, I didn't have a slave, or I didn't do this, or at the end of the day, we have to realize, you know, this 1500s, there were seeds that were planted. You know, whether we planted them or not, as people living here and breathing in 2008, I think is oftentimes irrelevant, because there are people that are still, you know, if there were trees that were planted then, there are people now that are standing under the shades of that tree. And there are people that don't have shade at all. You know, so I think that some of those things need to be dealt with. And as simple as that, you know, I think that we need to, there's a lot of re-education that needs to happen, because a lot of times we're taught to stay inside the box, follow society, look at the curriculum we're given, but, you know, a lot of history is ignored. And I think that what that does is kind of it kind of takes away the identity of these young kids, because I see a lot of these kids that are dropping out of schools because of low self-esteem. You know what I mean? It's because of, you know, they're insecure about certain things.
And a lot of this stuff comes from intergenerational patterns.
It absolutely does. You know, so it's you know, like, why are kids dropping out? Well, why should they aspire to be something that they don't even think they can attain? You know, as simple as that. You know, why would I really want to be or own a business when the only business I see is what the media is feeding me and what I see outside of my window? You know, is that there's a certain age where I think that we start to create a life around us. Who are we, and what do we want, and why am I here? And a lot of times that happens at the same age where kids start to go to the streets, they start to drop out of school. So I believe as mentors we need to really get involved with the intervention aspect of their lives. When we, you know, at 11, 12, 13, when we're losing them, because we're not losing them at 18. By 18 they've well made up their mind of what's going to be, where they're going to be, what they're going to put their energy into. But if we can catch these kids at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and really apply ourselves, then I think that we'll see changes, you know?
Well, I mean, one thing, I respect many things about you, but one of the things that I do respect is the heart that you have. And, you know, that it's not necessarily about, you know, the entertainment business, or, you know, that's a job, that's a career, that's something that you love, but you have just as much passion when I talk to you about that as you do when we talk about, you know, somebody in the neighborhood or some kind of an issue that's just locally affecting people. And, you know, one of the biggest things that I feel is that we're all human. You know, it doesn't matter, black, white, Jewish, Asian, where you come from, everyone has some kind of issues that have affected them, like you were talking about the seeds that were planted that they have to then deal with. You know, it's like, okay, how do I work through this? And everybody has their own stuff they have to work through, no matter what educational background or socioeconomic background they come from. And you know, I agree wholeheartedly that we need to start with our community, because people have that very much so, that it's the self mentality in this country and many other places in the world, and they don't think that what we're doing is affecting somebody over there, or you know, even our next door neighbor. A lot of times here, we don't even know our next door neighbor's name, let alone how we affect one another, and we very much do.
Sure.
What is going on here affects somebody over in Africa. What's going on, the issues in Africa, that's an entire continent. How can that not be affecting the whole world? And but it's a, you know, a beautiful thing to start, you know, in your own community and from your own background and experience, and start, you know, like reaching out and trying to heal some of the issues.
And I think that's what you just said. I think is very important. It's the healing aspect, but I think healing can't happen until there's, I don't want to say an admission, but I think that there has to be a eye-opening situation or event, or there has to be some kind of, you know, if I hurt someone over time, and that hurt creates something inside of you that you pass on to your daughter, and your daughter has an issue that came from she doesn't know where, there's a benefit in her knowing where it came from.
Right.
You know, so that's why I think history is important. And there are a lot of things that are going on in Africa right now, and Africa is very close to my heart. And I think that a lot of those issues have spawned from things from long ago that are almost taboo, that people don't want to talk about. You know, no one wakes up, you know, just wakes up and says, you know, I want to kill my neighbor, you know, or I want, you know, I want to, you know, oppress these people, oppress it. You know, you'd be surprised what can happen when you put someone's back against the wall. And traditionally, as a country, over time, I believe, and this is just my opinion, that a lot of people's backs, disproportionately, according to race in many ways, have been backed against the wall, and they've been put in a position of fight or flight. And that kind of mentality has almost dictated our positions in society now. You know, whether, you know, because right now there's a huge classism thing. There's a lot of issues with class. You know, you look at the state of our economy right now, and you look at the gas prices, and you look at the people that are really suffering, and you look at the disintegration of the middle class, in the sense of the people that were just starting to come over the hump of you know, the poverty line, or stepping into the next, you know, job, or buying a house. All of the things that are happening now in our economy are only, for the most part, destroying the working class, the middle class, and the lower class. You know, the people that have, you know, come from, you know, blue blood situations. A lot of them aren't being as affected as the guy that can't drive to work anymore because he can't afford the gas, so he has to take the bus 2 hours early. But how does he put his kids in daycare for 2 more hours because he can't afford the daycare? You know, or the single parent that was living check to check before gas hit $5. You know what I mean? It's like those are the things that are affecting us. And in the now, it's easy to say, oh well, you know, we'll just, you know, just create more jobs. Okay, yeah, let's create more jobs, but let's understand, you know, identity-wise, how this all happened. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, I'm 28 years old. If someone took year 5 through year 10, I wouldn't know. I don't think I would have the ability to come to it. You know, and if I woke up tomorrow and I couldn't remember that, I don't think that I could put my best foot forward, because I wouldn't know exactly who I was. I really wouldn't know where the ambition comes from. I wouldn't understand where I would need to, you know, knowing that coach that was in those years that was taken away, that said something to me that drives me today. You know what I mean? So I think, like, the whole idea of Sankofa, you know, knowing where you were, looking back, and allowing that to understand, you know, and affect where you're going. I think all of that is important. So I think the issues we're dealing with aren't something that can just all of a sudden kumbaya go away. You know what I mean? I think that these are things that we really need to look at with the same tenacity that we look at the, you know, the dollar bill, you know, in the sense of capitalism versus, you know, our morality as a society.